stands for freedom and liberty and the American dream. The best is yet to come.
Can I say something, by the way? There's people offended by my thumbnails, yet Trump directly offends the Jewish faith and nobody says nothing. It's almost like, well, it's okay, it's acceptable. It's not. It's offensive.
We've also heard there's a lot of talk about this is unprecedented amount of money. This has never happened before, but that's actually not true. Let's take a look. This is from Letitia James, the Attorney General's own court papers. I'm going to show it to you right now. There have been bigger bonds in the history. Look, from $1 billion to $1.5 billion, that was a Carnegie Mellon patent case. Those are public companies. What is about the argument that this has never been this big for a private company? Well, there have been billion-dollar bonds secured before.
Yeah, I think that, it's certainly true there have been large bonds. It all has to do with the amount of the judgment itself. And here you've got $500 million judgments. You're talking about a lot of money. The purpose of the bond is to secure those funds for the plaintiff here, the state of New York, at the end of the appeal to make sure they can collect. And so it says, hey, if you're a defendant and you want to appeal, you can do that. But we have to make sure to save the money in case the plaintiff gets to collect it. And so the bond is huge. There's no reason it can't be split up into smaller bonds. You could do 5 bonds issued by 5 different companies for $100 million, and I suspect Trump's team is looking at that.
Out the obvious, but while Marjorie Taylor Greene and Speaker Johnson are having this bun fight, cat fight, whatever it is, there is a real world out there that does require some level of support from its elected representatives. Now, I appreciate Marjorie Taylor Greene. The last thing that ever goes into her head is thinking about somebody that may have given her a vote, because all she is there for is herself. I mean, let's face it, she's the same person who was couldn't get, well, you know what I mean. She was literally brown-nosing Speaker Johnson a while back. Now they've all fallen out, and she's just, well, she's using it as an opportunity to push her profile and raise money. There is no other, I don't care how many times she turns up on Fox News and spouts out the same old garbage. She's just there for herself.
I filed the motion to vacate today, but it's more of a warning and a pink slip. I respect our conference. I paid all my dues to my conference. I'm a member in good standing, and I do not wish to inflict pain on our conference and to throw the House in chaos. But this is basically a warning, and it's time for us to go through the process, take our time, and find a new Speaker of the House that will stand with Republicans and our Republican majority in the House of Representatives, where we hold on to a razor-thin majority. But yet this week, Speaker Johnson, who has barely been a speaker for 6 months, led us to a complete catastrophe. He passed a giant omnibus bill, the second part of it, this week on Friday, after breaking the 72-hour rule, only giving Republicans a day to read 1,012 pages, and not allowing us to pass amendments to make any changes to this bill, which Chuck Schumer had full of Democrat wish lists and kept the Biden catastrophe border policies going. This comes after the tragic death of Laken Riley. This comes after Americans have been watching on loop the videos showing military-aged men, illegal aliens, rushing the Texas border, running over Texas National Guard and Border Patrol. Americans are sick and tired of failure in the House of Representatives. We are barely hanging on to our republic, a nation in debt with over $34 trillion in debt, and we cannot have a Republican Speaker of the House that is willing to do the bidding of Chuck Schumer, handing over the gavel to him and letting him pass the Schumer House bill on the floor and not allowing any of us Republicans to do our jobs.
Well, why is it that you are having such trouble securing the border? Go through some of the things in this bill that relate to border security and the things in this bill that you find are inappropriate.
There's nothing in this bill that secures the border. This bill that Johnson passed does everything to keep the Biden administration's horrible, horrible border invasion, the deadly daily invasion going every single day. The House Republicans have passed incredible border security bills like H.R. 2 and the Laken-Riley Act. Speaker Johnson's his one chance to truly secure the border is with the power of the purse, and that's in these funding bills. If Speaker Johnson really wanted to secure the border like he promised all of us he would and promised the American people, then he would have told Chuck Schumer, we will not pass any government funding bills until our border and funding bills have the H.R. 2 in it or the Laken-Riley Act, or at least some measures within them. But he didn't. He completely failed in that, and he let Chuck Schumer pass this bill in the House because Speaker Johnson forced it on Republicans.
But people
This bill
are
not only did nothing for the border, Maria, it
Yeah.
funded full-term abortion clinics. It funded horrific trans woke policies that target children in this country. This was not a Republican bill. This was a Democrat bill.
Yeah, but people even in your own party are attacking you, saying we do not need more division. I mean, after all, Congressman, look how many people have left. Ken Buck stepping down, Mike Gallagher stepping down. And Mike Gallagher is leaving at a time that even makes things tougher for the Republicans, right? He's leaving early, isn't he?
You're right, Maria. And those people stepping down early and leaving are the ones that are leaving it us at risk of the Democrats controlling the majority, not me. I filed this motion to vacate, but I haven't called it to the floor. This is like issuing a pink slip and giving our conference and a notice saying that we have got to find a new speaker. This may take weeks. It may take months. It may not even until next Congress. But Speaker Johnson cannot remain as Speaker of the House. Speaker Johnson has also failed our majority because he is allowing Mike Gallagher to leave Congress after the deadline date, where his district cannot hold a special election and elect a new representative for the rest of this entire Congress. Mike Gallagher betrayed all of us, and Speaker Johnson, as the one who's responsible for our majority, praised Mike Gallagher on Friday after he announced his departure, saying that he's great and praising him and thanking him for his service in Congress. Speaker Johnson should be forcing Mike Gallagher to leave early so that his district can hold a special election.
Are you confident that this election, at least, will be secure and fair?
So they're going to try and rig it. I have no doubt about it. They've been doing it for years. And look, how can you win on open borders, high interest rates, a woke military, all the things that they talk about, all electric cars? How about all electric cars? They don't go far, they cost too much, and they're made in China. How do you do that? So how can they win with what they do? Their policies are so bad. The thing they do best is cheating at elections and misinformation.
The other odd couple, and they are an odd couple, Matt Gaetz and Kevin McCarthy. Because Kevin McCarthy had an opportunity to say what he wanted to say about Matt Gaetz. When all of those allegations were swirling around, I don't recall Kevin McCarthy actually saying anything. Same with George Santos, sat on the fence, playing politics. So it's all very well now for Kevin McCarthy to say there were questions to be asked about Matt Gaetz. Did these questions suddenly disappear when it suited him? I would actually say that thin line between Matt Gaetz and Kevin McCarthy. Let's face it, they both go to Mar-a-Lago and they both, I'm fed up of saying, crawl up the passage that Ted Cruz loves to inhabit, more commonly known as the backside of Diaper Don. So I would say every time Kevin McCarthy opens his mouth, he's just talking caca, just there for himself. But if you really want my honest opinion, if they want to put McCarthy back in Speaker Johnson's role, I mean, as they head towards the elections in November, that'll be a good one for us all to have a laugh at and think about as we go into the polling booth.
The personalities can solve their own problems.
Well, when you were in Washington, you used to deal with Marjorie Taylor Greene, who filed this motion to vacate, to oust the speaker. She's blaming Johnson for everything from chaos at the border. She says she's starting this process to end the chaos that Americans are living in every single day. Do you endorse her tactic? What's the game here?
Look, the one thing I've always found, when you sit down with a member and talk to them, find out what their concerns are, especially when it's based upon policy, you can solve that problem. And I watched that with Marjorie, from the vote to speaker to the vote for the Fiscal Responsibility Act. There's times she was a difference of opinion, and you sit down and find common ground. Matt's case was much different. It's about a personal thing that he had done, and that's what he was trying to get something illegally stopped. This is not the case here. So I would not be afraid of a motion to vacate. This is about policy. And you remember, our government is designed to find common ground. And we've got a small majority. But remember, Margaret, in those 9 months, what was the small majority able to do? We actually passed the strongest border security bill, is now struck in the Senate, an energy independence bill. We stopped D.C. from decriminalizing.
It's dead on arrival in the Senate.
We
it's
made
not just
the largest
stuck there.
But listen to what did come into law. The largest cut in American history, more than $2 trillion.
Yeah.
Welfare reform took $20 billion back from the IRS going after Americans. NEPA reform hasn't done in 40 years. Parents' Bill of Rights. We've proven we can govern in many ways, which would actually show to the American public, if we had a new president, got a majority in the Senate, America would be much stronger.
Well, you've twice now mentioned Matt Gaetz, so I want to just ask you if you have evidence to back up your allegation.
Well, I think the ethics committee, it was purely Matt coming to me, trying me to do something illegal to stop the ethics committee from moving forward in an investigation that was started long before I became speaker.
Something
I would
illegal?
Not do that. I don't know what the facts are there. It's a personal issue of what he'd done as a member of Congress. I simply would say the ethics committee has the right to look at whatever they're going forward, and I'm not going to get in the middle of it one way or another.
Okay. Putting that.
It's time to play our all-new game show, Cognitive. And today's contestants, please welcome, slip those palms together for Miss Yabba Dabba Doo! All right, dramatic music, here we go. Your 3 questions on Cognitive are, name 2 of Donald Trump's ex-wives. Okay, we'll try an easier one for you. Name how many times Donald J. Trump has appeared in court in 2024. Nope, not having any luck. Okay, your final one for you. This is for you. How many days have you spent in the private quarters of Mar-a-Lago in 2024? No answer? Ooh.